This is my Cookery Zone podcast, a podcast brought to you by my Cookery Zone platform, also known as the connoisseur in food reporting. I'm Iyanoluwa Fagbiyi Timitokpe, and this is my Cookery Zone podcast. This week on the podcast, we'll be discussing Afro-fusion cooking, and of course, it has been with us for centuries. Enjoy. Fusion food have been with us for centuries. Afro-fusion cooking is the act of exploring the art of combining the traditional African cuisine with elements from other cultures to create sumptuous meal. It will interest you that out of the numerous ways the continent of Africa was described, like the Roman theory, Africa's theory, geographical theory, weather theory, the Phoenician theory, hold that. Two Phoenician words, friki and farika. Africa was described using food toss to translate as corn and fruit. The assumption is that the Phoenicians christened Africa as the land of corn and fruit. On Afro-fusion cooking, I got talking to Rotimi Alabi, a chef, food blogger, and food stylist at Chez Ro. How will you describe Afro-fusion?
Fusion, it's just the union of two different things. It doesn't have to be two, but it starts with two different things. Afro-fusion is taking something that's Afrocentric, originates from Africa, or has the African theme or the African palette in mind, and fusing it with something else. So Afro-fusion is basically either taking African cuisine and representing it in a different way where it's going to be more appealing to someone who's not African, or taking African flavors and textures and ingredients and including them or representing them in combination with meals or flavors from other parts of the world to create a wholly new product.
How did you develop interest for Afro-fusion cooking?
Okay, so it's a couple of things. It's almost going to sound like a very basic story, but here it goes. So I'm African, obviously.
Yeah.
And I grew up eating a lot of Nigerian food. I'm Yoruba, right? But both my parents grew up in Calabar. So in an average Yoruba home where you'd find, I don't know, maybe like ewedu or something, it's mostly ethnic food that's in my house. But then, because of my parents' diverse cultural backgrounds, they're Yoruba, but they've lived in different parts of the world. And in different parts of Nigeria. So the food in my house is quite different every time. It's not just from one place. So that is where most of my African palate comes from. But then growing up with exposure to different things, I had interest in cooking. I had interest in experimenting, trying new things out. I wanted to know what these meals or things that I used to watch in television or read in books or, different things like that. I always wanted to know what they were like. So I was always very adventurous with my food. Now, becoming an adventurous person led me down the path of, you know what, pasta is Italian. But what would it taste like if I added something Nigerian to it? What's it going to taste like?
Yeah.
Garlic bread is Italian. Or what would it taste like if I added an Asian element to it or an African element to it? So that honestly was the beginning of my journey to Afro-fusion, because most of the time, African ingredients are things that we're very familiar with. They're things that remind us of home, that remind us of mommy's cooking, that remind us of your grandma's cooking.
Exactly.
They're things that you honestly never really want to let go of fully, no matter how adventurous you are with food. So I thought, why have one when you can have both? So I can have the feeling that Italian food gives me, but also at the same time have the feeling that eating my mom's cooking is going to give me. And that's it.
Which of your fusion still resonates more with you?
So this is quite tricky. So the thing is, personally, I'm heavily influenced with Southeast Asian cuisine. So their spices and their cooking techniques, I'm very heavily influenced with them. And if I were to pick a particular meal, I think that's going to be extremely difficult to pick one meal. But actual ingredients, because pretty much pasta is a blank slate. It can take up the flavors of anything that you are making it with.
Yeah, so definitely.
There was this time I have a huge thing for avada sauce, right? I don't know if everybody loves it, but I really love avada sauce with a lot of onions and a lot of locust beans. So there was a time I made avada sauce, and I always try to make a big batch because I freeze it, and I like to eat with everything, with rice, with yams, or with just plain spaghetti. So there was a time I really wanted to eat pasta, and I wanted to eat avada sauce. So I warmed the avada sauce in my wok, and then as I was cooking my pasta, something just said, instead of finishing your pasta, just finish it in the avada sauce. And, I did the whole thing, put the pasta in there, al dente, added some pasta water, mixed it together. The pasta took on the flavor of the avada sauce with all of the meats and the iru and all the assorted meats. And it was just absolutely, absolutely, absolutely glorious. That is one meal I don't think I'm ever going to forget. I've not made it commercially yet for anybody to order, but it's something that I like to do a lot in my house for myself or for maybe like a couple of friends when they come over. So I think if I had to pick one meal, I'll pick that one.
For anyone who wants to start exploring African ingredients and techniques into creating masterpiece, how can they start?
I think the first and best place to start is to actually not just have an ingredient alone, have a full meal. So have something. And where you can have one particular meal, it would be a plus if you have someone help explain certain things about those meals, certain elements of said meals. Example, I, for one, over time, I naturally have always had a very precise taste for it, but over time and experience and skill and self-training, I've been able to hone myself to be able to pick out individual flavors when I'm tasting something. So if I'm tasting something, I can say, what, there's this. And I feel like number one is understanding the meal, the origins and the elements that make up that meal. Then you'll be able to separate it down to the ingredients and what each ingredient adds to the meal. For example, pepper brings heat. It also brings flavor, but it brings heat. Different types of peppers have different heat levels and different flavors. So if you understand the taste that you're trying to create, you know what pepper to use and what quantity to use. So I feel like the most important thing is, number one, have whatever African meal that you want to take your inspiration from. Understand the elements of that meal and how they contribute to that meal. What is bringing moisture, what is bringing saltiness, what is bringing sweetness, and then know how to take that one element or multiple elements and apply them to something else. And that, I think, is how you'll be able to figure out like the perfect balance for the two different flavors that you're trying to bring together.
So because you're an Italian kind of person and I'm African, I've got rapid fire questions for you. And real quick,
Okay.
Linguine or rice noodles?
Linguine.
Basil or parsley?
Parsley.
Wow. Bucatini or spaghetti?
Bucatini.
Okay,
Bucatini. I
this
think I'll do bucatini.
this last one is going to give you even more shivers, and I know you have issues picking anyone from this. Locust beans or
Okay.
soy sauce?
Oh no! You can't put two bad bitches against each other. No, I'm not going to take that.
Really?
But for what it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
they actually kind of do the same thing because they actually both bring a lot of umami.
Exactly.
So for this particular one, please permit me. I'm not going to choose. It can't be one or the other. I have to have both. They don't have to be together, but I can't choose one or the other.
It might be difficult to see exactly what the origin of Afrofusion cooking are. The food historians can't really say also, but throughout history, The meeting of cultures has provided an opportunity for people to combine ingredients and cooking styles to create new flavors. It isn't limited to few ingredients, as little to array of ingredients are used to create masterpieces. Every opportunity to combine ingredients and cooking techniques is an opportunity for fusion cooking to thrive. To the team at my Cookery Zone who made this possible, Iyanoluwa Komolafe and Daniel Ochuko, we say thank you so much for listening, everyone, and do well to subscribe, rate, share, and follow at MCZ Podcast across our social media platform. Do well to check us out at my Cookery Zone as well. Now, do you have more to tell us on the topic, or your kind of give us some insights on what you know about Afro-fusion cooking? We'll absolutely love to hear from you. Please do well to tweet at us by using the hashtag MCZ Podcast so we can see your tweets and of course your comments. Thank you so much for listening once again. I am Iyanoluwa Fagbi Timitokwe. My Cookery Zone podcast is brought to you by my Cookery Zone platform. Thank you for listening.